And welcome to Chapter 1, Section 3. This is on multiplying and dividing real numbers. And again, we're going to start with our vocabulary. First, we have the word reciprocal. Reciprocal is where two numbers whose product is 1. For example, 1/2 times 2, which is really 2 over 1. You really just take the fraction version of it and you flip it. The reciprocal of 2/3 is 3 over 2. And if you remember back when we were dividing fractions, we used that reciprocal and flipped everything over so that we were really multiplying by the reciprocal. Our next term is multiplicative inverse. These two mean the same thing. And this is used in the inverse property of multiplication. If you look on page 21, they've got more of those properties for you that are really great in the bigger scheme of things and say in really complicated ways things we know on a really basic level, including the properties of 0 on the bottom of the page. And essentially what that says is that 0 times anything is 0, and 0 divided by anything is 0, and you cannot divide by 0. And people get these two things confused all the time, so what I'd like to do is take just a minute to go through these concepts. If I have 0 socks, and I want to break up my socks into 6 different groups, I'm going to have 0 socks in each of those groups. So I can take 0 and I can divide it into 6 groups and I still have 0 socks in each group. However, if I have 6 socks and I want to divide those into 0 groups, there is no such thing as 0 groups. You have to have at least one group where you don't have any groups, but you can't put 6 socks into 0 groups. This is their issue. And this is why they say you can't divide by 0. You can't have 0 groups. And that means this answer is undefined. If you say that answer is 0, you're saying it's this problem. So I need you to understand the difference between these two problems so you get those answers right. Now, if you have a look at the examples 1 and 2 on page 20 and 21, they're going through the basics of multiplying and dividing with negative numbers. The basic rule here is that 2 negatives cancel each other out. Otherwise, you multiply and divide just like regular. 5 times -6 is going to be 30 with 1 negative. -2 times -4, you do the digits, and then 2 negatives cancel each other out. The answer is positive. -1 times 1 times -1 times 1 times -1 times -1 times 1. It doesn't matter. You just do the math. I know my answer is 1. And these two cancel, and these two cancel, and my answer is positive. 2 steps. You always do the digits and then the sign. Same with division. 40 divided by -5. 40 divided by 5 is 8, and I only have 1 negative, so I can't cancel it out, so I have a negative left. -100 divided by -10. These two negatives cancel each other out. My answer is 10. -2 times -3 times -4. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24. These two cancel each other out. I have 1 negative left. My answer is -24. 2-step problems. If you could please do the check it out numbers 1 and 2 on pages 20 and 21. Pause this video and come back when you have your answers. So here are our check it out answers. And we're going to do 2 together just to review dividing fractions because it's been a while. Negative 3/4 divided by negative 9 is negative 3/4 times, and we're going to find the reciprocal of this, which is 1/9. And I can divide 3 out of this, and I end up with negative times a negative is a positive, and 4 times 3 is 12. 3/10 divided by negative 6/5 is the same as 3/10 times negative 5/6. I can divide 3 out of this and 5 out of this, and I end up with a negative 1/4. Negative 5/6 times, now we've got to do our little circle thing. 1 times 3 is 3, plus 2 is 5/3. So this is really times 3/5. And here I can cross this out, and I can divide these by 3, and I end up with negative 1/2. If you have any questions about how this is done, I'd love to walk you through a few. And you get to practice some for homework. Now let's do the word problem. When we look at example 3 in the book, we see 0 divided by anything is 0, and anything divided by 0 is undefined. So anything multiplied by 0 is going to be 0. So as we're doing the check it outs, 0 divided by anything is 0. This one will be undefined, and multiplied here, this answer is going to be 0 as well. Looking at the word problem example, a hot air balloon is taken for a 2.5-hour trip. The wind speed and the speed of the balloon is 4.75 miles an hour. The balloon travels in a straight line parallel to the ground. How many miles away from the liftoff site will the balloon land? So if it's going 4.75 miles per hour for 2.5 hours, this is a multiplication problem. Every hour, it's 4.75. So we're going to multiply these two numbers together, and we're going to get 11.875 miles. So apply what you know here to check it out, pause the video, and come back when you're done. And this is a straightforward word problem. We have 5.25 miles per hour, and we do this times 1.5 hours, and when we multiply these two together, we end up with 7.875 miles. And that takes us to the rest of our homework. Section 1.3 for this chapter, which starts on page 23. We're going to do numbers 26 to 46. And a lot of these are straight multiplication division problems that you can do in your head because you all know your multiplication tables. And some of it is a matter of positive and negative numbers. Some of it is conceptual stuff where it's not actually numbers, it's just asking you for the difference between positive, negative numbers and 0. Because there's so much work and we're doing 3 sections, we're going to take 2 nights to do this, plus the class day that's in the middle. I'm going to ask you to make sure you show your work. You should have your notes that you take in a notebook that you can always have in front of you. You can do your homework in that same notebook. I will collect them during your quizzes or tests to double check and give you an I'm taking my notes thoroughly grade. Please ask me if you have any questions or problems because we want this year to go smoothly and we've got to start off this year right. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in class. Thank you much.